9 minutes past 8. Now, the Star Trek actor William Shatner has finally crossed the final frontier and become the oldest person to reach space.
The actor boldly went where no 90-year-old had been before. He spent about 10 minutes on board the rocket before his capsule landed back down to Earth with a parachute and safely.
The most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary, extraordinary. I hope I never recover from this.
Joining us now, space journalist and television host Sarah Cruddas. What an extraordinary experience for him, and he encapsulated the emotion of it so perfectly, didn't he, with that interview at the end?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it was just incredible. I mean, to think that William Shatner has now become the 598th human being to ever travel to space, when back in the 1960s, when he was playing a space traveller, humans were just going to space. And to date, the majority of people who've seen the Earth from space have been either scientists or military test pilots. But what this new era in space exploration represents, and I need to be clear, it's not just about space tourism, it's about so much more. But what it represents is access to space to so many types of people from different types of backgrounds. And someone like William Shatner, who at the age of 90 years old, as an artist, as an actor, is able to describe the humanity of it all, the humanity of spaceflight, not the science of it, but the humanity and the impact of seeing the Earth from space. And there's a term for it, an official term known as the overview effect. And it's something we can, we've all seen photographs of the Earth from space. We know what it looks like. To experience it for yourself, to go up there and see the fragility of it. And he described this blanket, this comforter of blue, and then just black and nothingness. It changes people. And as we see more and more astronauts minted, as we see the number of space travelers go into thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands, people are going to come back to their communities and explain that we're all in it together, that there's something more out there, that with this one tiny planet in this giant cosmos that we can't even begin to understand yet.
What do you make of the criticism that is angled towards Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, these three incredibly wealthy billionaires, and the suggestion that it's just an ego boost for them, it's just a race for them to sort of put their brand out there? And really the focus, and I think the Duke of Cambridge has been saying it this morning, the focus should be on getting these brilliant minds and all this money that they're investing into space travel into trying to protect our own planet and mend the problems that we've got down here.
Well, I think it's important that we always criticise. I think the media has an important role to hold people to account, particularly very wealthy people. But I think there's sometimes a STEM illiteracy problem in understanding or perhaps communicating what's actually going in space exploration, because for a starter, the vast majority of what we do in space is actually about Earth. It's very few resources will actually go into, exploring and all this other kinds of stuff. But we need to be clear that, yes, it does look like joyride to the billionaires, and I can understand why many people watching would be frustrated by that. But what's really happening is, because more and more people can access space, because companies can access space, companies can do something which governments could only do for so long. They can take risks that governments can't, and it's helping to bring down the cost of access to space. And why that is important is because it means more science, more payloads, more ideas to look after Earth can get to space, because much of what we do in space is about looking after Earth, including climate change, including understanding that. Just as in the same way as the internet in the 1990s, you could be a kid in the dorm room and you could come up with a world-changing idea. Look at Facebook, Google, Amazon. And the same's happening with space exploration, because once we lower that cost of access, we can't begin to imagine what's to come, but many good businesses.
Sarah, William Shatner said he wanted everyone to be able to do it. Just briefly, how soon before it might be just a couple of £100 for everybody to be able to do what he did?
Well, there's a great analogy which sometimes gets bandied around, is what we're doing is similar to aviation 100 years ago, and the rich go first. But I think that analogy needs to stop. I work with an organisation in the US, for example, called Space for Humanity, which is trying to democratise access to space by giving away tickets to go on these space flights. It sounds like science fiction, but it's happening right now. So prices will come down. I doubt it's going to be £400. We will have initiatives to send people up. Like Hayley Arsenault, the cancer survivor who went up with SpaceX last month. We're already seeing people from ordinary backgrounds going to space. And if we are to succeed, all of us in the space community need to ensure that people from different types of backgrounds get to go to space. I mean, how would a house husband in Leeds explain his experience and be relatable in a way that a rich American astronaut is perhaps not relatable? So we are seeing change within the industry, and there's a lot of people working to make it happen.
There are lots of people desperate to get up there as well. Sarah, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us, Sarah Cruddas.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good to see you. Still ahead on Good